Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to have an honest conversation about something that's holding you back, something that's stopping you from stepping into your full potential. Too many of us walk through life trying to please everyone, avoiding conflict, bending over backward to make others comfortable at the expense of our own peace, our own growth, and our own dreams. But today I'm here to tell you, stop being so soft to everyone. You see, when you're too soft, people mistake your kindness for weakness. They take your silence as permission to walk all over you. And before you know it, you're drained, disrespected, and wondering why the world doesn't see your worth. But the truth is this: the world treats you exactly the way you teach it to treat you. Setting boundaries is one of the most important steps you can take to reclaim control over your life and protect your emotional and mental well-being. It's about teaching others how to treat you by clearly defining what is acceptable and what is not. Boundaries are not selfish. They are necessary for maintaining healthy relationships, preserving your self-respect, and staying true to your values. Yet, many people struggle with this concept because they fear disappointing others, being judged, or creating tension. But here's the truth: when you fail to set boundaries, you open the door to disrespect, stress, and burnout. When you don't enforce boundaries, you send a message that your time, energy, and needs are secondary to everyone else's. This can lead to feelings of resentment, frustration, and even self-doubt. You might start wondering why people don't appreciate you or why they always expect you to give more. The reality is that people treat you based on what you allow. If you keep giving without limits, they'll keep taking without hesitation. It's not always malicious, it's human nature. That's why it's up to you to draw the line. Setting boundaries begins with recognizing your own limits and understanding what truly matters to you. You need to be honest with yourself about what you can handle emotionally, physically, and mentally. If you're constantly saying yes to things that drain your energy or make you uncomfortable, you're violating your own boundaries. Start by identifying situations or behaviors that make you feel overwhelmed, disrespected, or undervalued. These are the areas where boundaries are most needed. Once you've identified these areas, the next step is to communicate your boundaries clearly and assertively. This doesn't mean being rude or confrontational. It means being direct and confident in expressing your needs. For example, if a coworker frequently interrupts your focus with unnecessary tasks, you can say, "I appreciate your input, but I need to focus on my priorities right now." Let's discuss this later. If a friend constantly takes advantage of your time without reciprocating, you can explain, "I value our friendship, but I need to ensure there's a balance in how we support each other." It's important to remember that setting boundaries is not about controlling others. It's about controlling what you can accept. You can't force someone to respect your boundaries, but you can decide how you respond when they don't. If someone continues to cross the line after you've made your limits clear, it's up to you to enforce the consequences. This might mean limiting your interaction with them, saying no more often, or even cutting ties in extreme cases. It's not easy, but it's necessary to prioritize your well-being over the fear of upsetting others. Many people hesitate to set boundaries because they worry about being perceived as mean, selfish, or unkind. But setting boundaries doesn't make you any of those things. It makes you strong. It shows that you value yourself enough to protect your energy and that you respect others enough to be honest about what you can and cannot do. True friends, supportive family members, and healthy colleagues will respect your boundaries because they care about your well-being. Those who don't respect them are revealing their lack of regard for you. And that's a reflection on them, not on you. Enforcing boundaries also requires consistency. It's not enough to set a boundary once and expect it to stick. You need to reinforce it every time someone tries to test it. For example, if you've told someone that you can't respond to work emails after a certain time, but they continue to send late-night messages, don't give in to the pressure to reply. Let your actions align with your words, because consistency builds credibility. When people see that you're serious about your boundaries, they're more likely to respect them. Another key aspect of setting boundaries is understanding that it's not your responsibility to make everyone happy. People might react negatively when you first start asserting yourself, especially if they've grown accustomed to you being overly accommodating. They might try to guilt you, manipulate you, or push back against your limits, but their discomfort is not your burden to bear. Change is uncomfortable, and people may need time to adjust to the new dynamic. Stay firm and remind yourself why you set the boundary in the first place, because you deserve to live a life that honors your needs and values. It's also crucial to be patient with yourself during this process. If you're not used to setting boundaries, it can feel awkward, intimidating, and even scary at first. You might worry about being misunderstood or losing relationships, but the more you practice, the more confident you'll become. Start small, and over time, you'll find it easier to assert yourself in bigger ways. Each time you honor your boundaries, you're sending yourself a powerful message: I am worthy of respect, and I will not settle for less. In the end, boundaries are not walls, they are bridges to healthier relationships and a better quality of life. They create a space where mutual respect can thrive and where you can show up as your authentic self without fear of being taken advantage of. So don't be afraid to set them, enforce them, and stand by them. Because when you protect your peace, you're not just safeguarding your present, you're paving the way for a brighter, more fulfilling future. Saying yes when you truly want to say no is one of the most common ways people undermine themselves. It may seem harmless in the moment, a way to avoid conflict, please someone, or maintain a sense of harmony. But over time, consistently prioritizing the needs and desires of others above your own can lead to resentment, exhaustion, and even a loss of your sense of self. When you say yes to something that doesn't align with your priorities, values, or limits, you're effectively saying no to yourself, your time, and your peace of mind. One of the biggest reasons people struggle to say no is the fear of disappointing others. You might worry that turning someone down will make them think less of you, create tension, or even damage the relationship. But let's be clear, saying no is not about rejecting people. It's about protecting your own boundaries and honoring your limits. It's about understanding that you cannot be everything to everyone. The more you say yes out of guilt or obligation, the more you train others to expect that you'll always put their needs above your own. When you agree to things you don't want to do, it may seem like you're keeping the peace, but in reality, you're creating an internal storm. Every time you ignore your instincts and say yes when you mean no, you're chipping away at your own confidence and self-respect. You may feel burdened by commitments you didn't want to take on in the first place, and that frustration can seep into other areas of your life. Over time, it can lead to burnout, strained relationships, and a deep sense of dissatisfaction. The first step to breaking this cycle is recognizing why you're saying yes in the first place. For many, it stems from a need for validation. You might feel that by agreeing to everything, you'll be seen as kind, reliable, or easy to work with. But this mindset comes at a cost. People-pleasing often leads to being taken for granted because those around you start to see your constant yes as a given rather than a choice. They may not even realize the effort it takes for you to accommodate them because you've trained them to see it as normal. Learning to say no starts with understanding that your time and energy are limited resources. You have the right to decide how you spend them, and not every request or opportunity deserves a place on your calendar. Before automatically agreeing to something, pause and ask yourself, do I truly want to do this? Does this align with my priorities? Am I saying yes out of guilt, fear, or obligation? Taking a moment to reflect before responding can prevent you from making commitments you'll later regret. It's also essential to separate your self-worth from your ability to say yes. Saying no doesn't make you a bad person, it makes you an honest one. People who care about you will respect your boundaries even if they're disappointed in the moment. Those who don't respect your no are likely more interested in what you can do for them than your well-being. This is a tough pill to swallow, but it's a necessary realization for reclaiming your personal power. When you decide to say no, it's important to communicate it clearly and confidently. There's no need to over-explain, apologize excessively, or justify your decision. A simple, I'm sorry, but I can't take that on right now, or I appreciate the offer, but I have to decline is enough. Politeness doesn't require you to compromise your boundaries. Practice makes perfect. And the more you say no, the more natural it will feel. Another key to mastering the art of saying no is understanding that it's not your responsibility to fix everyone's problems. Many of us have a tendency to jump in and offer help even when we're stretched too thin or lack the capacity to do so. While helping others is admirable, it's important to recognize when doing so comes at the expense of your own well-being. Saying no doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough about yourself to know your limits. It's also worth noting that saying yes to things you don't want to do often means saying no to things that truly matter. When your schedule is filled with obligations you didn't want to take on, there's room for the things that bring you joy, growth, and fulfillment. Every unnecessary yes is a missed opportunity to invest in yourself, your goals, and your passions. Saying no isn't about being selfish, it's about being selective, of recognizing that you have the right to prioritize your own needs, and that doing so doesn't make you any less kind, generous, or valuable. In fact, setting these boundaries allows you to show up more fully in the areas of your life that truly matter. It frees you from the weight of resentment and gives you the space to focus on what aligns with your values and aspirations. The bottom line is this: your time and energy are precious. You can't get them back once they're spent, so you must use them wisely. By learning to say no when you mean no, you're not just protecting yourself, you're creating a life that reflects your priorities, honors your boundaries, and allows you to show up as your best self. And that, in the end, is the greatest gift you can give to both yourself and those around you. Kindness is often viewed as one of the greatest virtues a person can possess. It's a quality that fosters connection, trust, and goodwill. But kindness can sometimes be mistaken for weakness when it's not balanced with assertiveness and self-respect. Being kind does not mean allowing yourself to be walked over or taken advantage of. It doesn't mean sacrificing your well-being or your values to appease others. True kindness is rooted in strength to offer help and compassion without compromising your dignity or boundaries. The problem arises when people misinterpret your kindness as an open invitation to take advantage of you. This happens when you give without limits, agree to things that don't serve you, or avoid standing up for yourself out of fear of being seen as unkind. The line between being kind and being a pushover can sometimes blur, especially when you feel obligated to keep everyone happy. However, kindness is not about pleasing everyone at your expense. It's about acting from a place of genuine care while also respecting yourself. One of the key challenges with balancing kindness and strength is the fear of conflict. Many people hesitate to assert themselves because they don't want to create tension or hurt someone's feelings. But avoiding conflict doesn't make you kind, it makes you passive. There's a big difference between being considerate and being compliant. When you allow others to overstep your boundaries or take advantage of your goodwill, you're not being kind to yourself. And if you're not kind to yourself, how can you truly be kind to others in a healthy and sustainable way? A person who is truly kind operates from a place of clarity and confidence. They understand that kindness is not about saying yes to everything or tolerating disrespect. It's about showing respect for others while also demanding respect in return. This requires you to recognize your own worth and value your time, energy, and resources. When you give from a place of strength, you're able to offer genuine kindness without feeling drained, used, or resentful. Strengthening your kindness begins with setting boundaries. You have to be clear about what you will and will not tolerate, and you must communicate these boundaries assertively. For instance, if someone consistently asks for favors without reciprocating or acknowledging your effort, it's okay to draw the line. You can kindly but firmly say, I'm happy to help when I can, but I also need to focus on my own responsibilities. This doesn't make you unkind, it makes you self-respecting. It's also important to remember that kindness doesn't mean you have to solve everyone's problems. Many people fall into the trap of overextending themselves because they feel responsible for fixing situations or making others happy. While it's noble to want to help, you must recognize that you can't pour from an empty cup. Overcommitting yourself not only depletes your energy, but also diminishes the quality of the help you're able to offer. Kindness is most effective when it comes from a place of abundance rather than exhaustion. Another aspect of balancing kindness with strength is learning to say no. Saying no doesn't make you a bad person, it makes you an honest one. When you say yes to something you don't want to do, you're not being kind, you're being dishonest about your true feelings. People who truly care about you will respect your no because they value you as a person, not just for what you can do for them. And for those who don't respect your no, their intentions likely have more to do with their own benefit than your well-being. Kindness also involves being honest, even when the truth is uncomfortable. Sugarcoating things or avoiding difficult conversations may seem kind in the moment, but it often leads to misunderstandings, resentment, or unresolved issues. True kindness is about being transparent and authentic while delivering your message with respect and empathy. For example, offering constructive feedback to a friend or colleague may feel uncomfortable, but it's ultimately a kinder act than letting them continue down a path that could lead to failure or disappointment. It's worth noting that the strongest forms of kindness often involve tough love. Sometimes being kind means holding people accountable or encouraging them to take responsibility for their actions. This might not make you the most popular person in the moment, but it's a far greater kindness than enabling harmful behaviors or shielding people from the consequences of their choices. Tough love is a way of showing you care deeply enough to want the best for someone, even if it means challenging them or standing firm in your convictions. True kindness also requires self-awareness. You need to recognize when your actions are motivated by genuine care versus a desire to gain approval or avoid conflict. Kindness driven by insecurity or fear can easily turn into self-sacrifice, which ultimately serves no one. On the other hand, Kindness rooted in confidence and self-respect is empowering. It allows you to give freely without feeling depleted or resentful. Kindness is not a weakness, it's a strength. But like any strength, it must be exercised with wisdom and balance. Being kind doesn't mean being a doormat. It means knowing when to say yes and when to say no. It means offering your support while also demanding respect. It means showing compassion without losing sight of your own needs. Kindness, when paired with strength, becomes one of the most powerful tools you can possess because it not only uplifts others, but also reinforces your own sense of self-worth and integrity. Respect is a cornerstone of all healthy relationships, whether personal or professional. Respect is not something that is automatically granted to you just because you exist. It's earned through your actions, your attitude, and the way you carry yourself. If you want others to respect you, you must first respect yourself. That means recognizing your own values, setting boundaries, and refusing to tolerate behavior that undermines your dignity. One of the biggest mistakes people make when seeking respect is confusing it with likability. You don't have to be liked by everyone to be respected, and in fact, trying to please everyone is often a surefire way to lose respect. When you bend over backward to accommodate others at the expense of your own needs, you send the message that your time, energy, and boundaries are less important than theirs. Respect starts with prioritizing yourself and making it clear that you value who you are and what you bring to the table. Earning respect also requires consistency. People respect those who are reliable, who do what they say they'll do, and who live according to their values. If your actions don't align with your words, people will notice, and their respect for you will diminish. For example, if you set a boundary but fail to enforce it, you're teaching others that your words don't carry weight. On the other hand, when you consistently stand by your principles, even in the face of opposition, you show strength and integrity, which naturally commands respect. Another key aspect of earning respect is how you handle conflict. It's easy to be respected when things are going well, but true respect is often earned in moments of disagreement or difficulty. If you can stand your ground, express your views clearly, and remain composed under pressure, people will take notice. This doesn't mean being aggressive or confrontational. It means being assertive and refusing to let others intimidate or manipulate you. When you show that you can hold your own without losing your temper or resorting to pettiness, you demonstrate a level of emotional maturity that people can't help but respect. And respect also comes from how you treat others. This might seem counterintuitive when you're focusing on earning respect for yourself, but the way you interact with those around you speaks volumes about your character. People respect those who are fair, empathetic, and considerate. This doesn't mean you have to agree with everyone or tolerate disrespectful behavior. It means treating others with the dignity you expect in return. When you're kind without being a pushover and firm without being cruel, you strike a balance that naturally garners respect. One of the most critical ways to earn respect is to stand firm in your beliefs and decisions. If you're constantly second-guessing yourself or changing your mind to fit in with others, people will see you as uncertain or easily influenced. On the other hand, when you have a clear sense of who you are and what you stand for, and you're not afraid to defend your position, you show strength and confidence. Even those who disagree with you are more likely to respect you if you present your perspective with conviction. It's also important to recognize that respect is a two-way street. If you demand respect from others without offering it in return, you're unlikely to get the results you want. Respect isn't about dominating or controlling others. It's about mutual recognition of each person's worth and contributions. When you show genuine respect for someone else's opinions, efforts, or boundaries, they're much more likely to reciprocate that respect. And when they don't, you have every right to distance yourself from that relationship. Another crucial factor in earning respect is self-discipline. People respect those who have control over their emotions, impulses, and actions. If you're constantly reacting emotionally, making excuses, or failing to follow through on your commitments, it's hard for others to see you as someone they can look up to. On the other hand, when you demonstrate self-control, reliability, and a strong work ethic, you establish yourself as someone who takes life seriously and respects their own time and goals. This, in turn, inspires others to respect you as well. Body language and tone of voice also play a significant role in commanding respect. The way you carry yourself communicates a great deal about how you see yourself. If you walk into a room with your head down, your shoulders slumped, and your voice barely audible, you're signaling a lack of confidence. On the other hand, standing tall, making eye contact, and speaking with clarity and conviction conveys self-assurance, which naturally garners respect. People are more likely to take you seriously when you carry yourself with confidence. Lastly, respect requires patience and perseverance. It's not something you can demand or expect overnight. Building respect takes time and consistent effort. You may encounter setbacks or deal with people who are unwilling to respect you no matter what you do. In those situations, it's crucial to remain steadfast in your commitment to respecting yourself. Respect starts from within. When you truly value yourself and act accordingly, others will eventually follow suit or reveal themselves as people unworthy of your time and energy. Earning respect is not about changing who you are to fit others' expectations. It's about embracing your true self, setting boundaries, and living in alignment with your values. When you respect yourself first and foremost, you set the tone for how others should treat you. Over time, this foundation of self-respect will naturally attract the kind of respect you deserve from the world around you. Your time, energy, and resources are among your most valuable assets. Once spent, they cannot be recovered, and how you choose to use them reflects the priorities you set for your life. Allowing others to waste these precious resources not only hinders your growth, but also teaches them that you don't value yourself enough to protect what is yours. It's essential to understand that not everyone has the same respect for your time and energy as you do, and it's up to you to guard them vigilantly. This isn't selfish, it's necessary. One of the most common ways people waste your time is by involving you in their drama or unproductive activity. Whether it's endless gossip, complaining without seeking solutions, or pulling you into unnecessary conflicts, these distractions can drain your energy and shift your focus away from your goals. When you engage in such interactions, you're essentially allowing others to dictate how you spend your time. To prevent this, you must be discerning about the people and situations you allow into your life. Surround yourself with individuals who uplift you, challenge you to grow, and respect your boundaries. Another way others may waste your time is by failing to respect your commitments and schedule. For instance, someone who constantly shows up late or cancels plans last minute is showing disregard for the value of your time. Similarly, people who demand your attention at inconvenient moments, whether it's through endless messages, unsolicited phone calls, or sudden requests for help, can easily derail your productivity. While it's good to be flexible, there's a difference between being accommodating and allowing others to disrupt your priorities. Setting clear boundaries around your availability and sticking to them is key to protecting your time. Your energy is another resource that can be wasted if you're not careful. Negative people, those who complain, criticize, or drain you emotionally, can sap your energy without adding any value to your life. These individuals often thrive on your attention and empathy, but they rarely offer anything in return. While it's admirable to want to support others, you must recognize when your efforts are being taken for granted or when the relationship becomes one-sided. Protecting your energy means being selective about where and how you invest it. If a situation or relationship consistently leaves you feeling drained, it's a sign that your energy is being wasted. In addition to people, distractions and unproductive habits can also waste your time and energy. Hours spent scrolling on social media, binge watching shows, or procrastinating on important tasks may seem harmless in the moment, but they add up quickly. Every minute you spend on activities that don't align with your goals is a minute you're taking away from your potential success. It's crucial to take a step back and assess how you're spending your days. Are your actions moving you closer to your aspirations, or are they simply filling time? Being mindful of your habits and making intentional choices about how you spend your time can transform your productivity and overall satisfaction with life. Protecting your resources also requires saying no. Many people struggle with this because they fear disappointing others or being perceived as selfish. However, saying no is not a rejection of someone's needs, it's an affirmation of your priorities. When you say yes to things that don't serve you, you're effectively saying no to the things that do. For instance, agreeing to attend a social event you have no interest in might mean sacrificing valuable time you could have spent on self-improvement or rest. Learning to say no respectfully and confidently is one of the most powerful ways to reclaim control over your time and energy. It's also important to recognize that not everyone will understand or respect your boundaries, and that's okay. Some people may try to guilt you into changing your plans, or they may label you as selfish for prioritizing yourself. These reactions often come from individuals who are accustomed to having unlimited access to your time and energy. Remember that their discomfort is not your responsibility. You're not obligated to explain or justify your boundaries to anyone. Protecting your resources is not about pleasing others. It's about ensuring that you have the capacity to focus on what truly matters. Your time, energy, and resources are finite, which means you must use them wisely. This requires a shift in mindset from being reactive to being proactive. Instead of letting others dictate how your resources are spent, take charge of your schedule and priorities. Plan your days intentionally, set goals, and allocate your energy toward activities that align with your vision for your life. By doing so, you not only protect your resources, but also maximize their impact. Self-awareness plays a critical role in protecting your time and energy. Take the time to reflect on where these resources are currently going. Are you spending too much time on things that don't matter? Are you giving too much energy to people who don't appreciate it? Are you investing your resources in ways that align with your values and goals? Honest answers to these questions can help you identify areas where you need to make changes. Protecting your time, energy, and resources is about valuing yourself. It's about recognizing that you have a limited amount of these precious assets and that they should be spent on things and people that truly matter. When you set boundaries, say no when necessary, and make intentional choices, you're not just safeguarding your resources, you're creating a life that reflects your priorities and values. Respecting yourself in this way not only enhances your own well-being, but also sets an example for others to follow. When you protect what's yours, you empower yourself to live a more purposeful, fulfilling life. When you allow people to take advantage of your kindness, generosity, or trust, you send the message that you are willing to tolerate unfair treatment. This behavior creates a cycle where others continue to exploit you, not because they inherently lack integrity, but because they recognize no resistance or consequence. To break this cycle, you must stop tolerating disrespect, manipulation, and exploitation from others. It starts with understanding your worth and standing firm in the boundaries you set for yourself. One of the most common ways people take advantage of others is by exploiting their desire to help. Being kind and supportive is a strength, but it becomes a weakness when it's taken for granted or abused. People may ask for your time, effort, or resources repeatedly, offering little or nothing in return. Over time, this can leave you feeling drained, unappreciated, and even resentful. The key to stopping this pattern is recognizing when the help you offer is no longer mutual but one-sided. It's okay to be there for others, but not at the expense of your own well-being. Where you have the right to say no and to prioritize your needs without guilt. Another way people take advantage of you is by testing your boundaries. This often starts subtly. Perhaps they ask for a small favor or make an offhand comment that crosses a line. If you let it slide, they may escalate their behavior, pushing your boundaries further and further. Over time, this can lead to a situation where you feel powerless or disrespected. To stop this, you must enforce your boundaries consistently and unapologetically. If someone disrespects your limits, address it immediately. A firm and clear response communicates that you value yourself and will not tolerate mistreatment. Manipulation is another tactic used by those who seek to exploit others. Manipulative individuals often use guilt, flattery, or fear to control your actions. They may frame their requests as urgent or make you feel selfish for refusing. Recognizing these tactics is the first step to protecting yourself. Pay attention to how you feel during and after interactions with someone. Do you feel drained, pressured, or uneasy? If so, it's a sign that manipulation may be at play. Responding to manipulation requires both assertiveness and emotional detachment. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your choices, and you have the right to protect your peace. Stopping others from taking advantage of you also involves self-awareness. Sometimes the patterns of exploitation we experience are rooted in our own behaviors or beliefs. For example, if you have a deep need to be liked or avoid conflict, you may be more likely to tolerate unfair treatment. Similarly, if you undervalue yourself, you may accept less than you deserve in relationships or professional settings. Addressing these underlying issues requires self-reflection and, in some cases, seeking support from a trusted friend, mentor, or therapist. When you understand why you've allowed others to take advantage of you in the past, you can take steps to change those patterns moving forward. Standing up for yourself is an essential part of stopping others from exploiting you. This doesn't mean being rude or confrontational, but rather being firm and direct when addressing issues. If someone is taking advantage of you, call them out respectfully but assertively. For instance, if a colleague frequently asks you to do their work, you might say, "I've noticed that you've been asking for my help on your task quite often. I'm happy to assist occasionally, but I have my own responsibilities to focus on." This approach sets a clear boundary without escalating the situation unnecessarily. Another critical aspect of stopping exploitation is learning to recognize red flags early. People who take advantage of others often display patterns of behavior that, when noticed, can serve as warnings. They may exhibit a lack of accountability, constantly play the victim, or show inconsistency in their words and actions. They might also resist boundaries or become defensive when confronted. By paying attention to these signs, you can avoid becoming entangled in relationships or situations where you're likely to be taken advantage of. It's also important to surround yourself with people who respect and value you. When you spend time with individuals who appreciate your strengths and treat you with kindness, you're less likely to tolerate mistreatment from others. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect and support, not on exploitation or manipulation. Evaluate the people in your life and consider whether their presence adds to or subtracts from your well-being. If someone consistently takes advantage of you, it may be time to distance yourself from that relationship. Remember that you teach people how to treat you. If you consistently tolerate behavior that undermines your worth, others will continue to treat you that way. However, when you stand up for yourself, enforce your boundaries, and demand respect, you set a new standard for how you expect to be treated. This doesn't happen overnight. It's a process that requires patience, self-confidence, and practice. But over time, you'll notice that the people around you begin to respect you more, not because you demanded it, but because you've shown through your actions that you respect yourself. Stopping others from taking advantage of you is about reclaiming your power. It's about recognizing that you have the right to prioritize your needs, set boundaries, and demand fair treatment. While this may require difficult conversations and uncomfortable moments, the long-term benefits, greater self-respect, healthier relationships, and increased peace of mind are well worth the effort. By valuing yourself and refusing to tolerate exploitation, you create a life where you are in control, not others. Reclaiming your power starts with valuing yourself, setting firm boundaries, and refusing to tolerate disrespect or exploitation. When you stand up for yourself and prioritize your well-being, you teach others how to treat you and create a life of respect, balance, and fulfillment.